Hello everybody, what is going on? Steggy here with a video review of the Astro Gaming A50 wireless headset. Now ever since the A40 had been released so many years back, chatter started to stir as to what Astro would come out with next for our gaming audio needs. Those questions were answered as Astro released the A30s, the A-Stars, the Mixam 5.8, etc. over the years. However, everyone cried bigger. People wanted the A50 before Astro even decided that's what they would name it. Sure enough though, years later we finally have it. So what is the A50? Well, it's Astro's latest in wireless audio, complete with renowned Astro quality and build, as well as many design cues from their flagship headset, the A40. It also has ClearNet audio for pristine wireless audio quality, and an EQ to boot. Sounds great on paper, no? So now that I've had my hands on the A50, do we have a new Titan or a $300 paperweight? For those planning on being blown away by a completely new looking headset from Astro, I'm sorry to disappoint. You won't be finding any new out-of-this-world design from the San Francisco-based company. Instead, you get the immediately recognizable design from Astro's flagship headset, the A40, with a bit of a twist. While the A40 comes in glossy black on black, or white on black finish, as well as some of their more limited edition colorways, just in case you need neon pink, Astro's got you covered, the A50 takes the frame of the A40 and throws on a stealthy matte black finish with red accenting. Just enough pop in the details to make the design look really interesting. There's no mistaking when you see the A50 that it is no doubt an Astro product. Included with the A50 you have the headset itself, the receiver, a power cable for said receiver, a charging cord for the A50, the Xbox 360 chat cable, and a headset stand. Now this headset stand is a departure from Astro's norm. Now I personally have one of Astro's headset stands that they used to sell separately back in the day, and I'm a big fan of it. Solid aluminum body, and it looks great, and it can hold a good variety of headsets. This one is very similar to it, except that it's plastic. It also has a wider base, which allows you to dock your receiver onto it while resting your headset, so it's a nice little display to have when you're charging your headset, or are simply done for your gaming session for the day. Do I like it as much as their old one? No, but I also didn't have to pay separately for this, so I do really like it. It's a nice little addition that they threw in. While at first glance you might mistake the A50 for the A40, being a wireless headset, obviously there's going to be some changes in the details. Most noticeably is the replacement of the A40's Mixam. Instead you have a matte black receiver for the A50s, not unlike the one that used to be included with the Astro's Mixam 5.8. On the receiver you'll find useful ports on the back. You have the micro USB port for power. It comes with a micro USB to USB cord, so you can use your computer or your Xbox 360, your PS3, etc. to power the receiver. You have an optical in and out because the receiver can act as a pass-through, so if you have a speaker system, you can simply leave the receiver on and you're good to go. You then have a USB port, simply use it as a charging port for the headset. As far as the front buttons go, there's simply a power button and the Dolby Headphone Virtual Surround Sound button. The receiver is definitely an improvement over the Mixam 5.8 receiver. For one, the matte black finish saves you from fingerprints and dust. Second, this receiver has the optical pass-through work straight out of the box, while the Mixam 5.8 needed to be updated because it would turn itself off after so many minutes of inactivity. Third, when you decide to turn the receiver off, it automatically turns off the A50 headset, which definitely helps with battery performance. Now speaking of battery performance, the Astro A50 runs off a lithium-ion battery, rated for approximately 10 hours runtime, depending what you're using it on. I.e., if you're using the wireless microphone on the PC or PS3, it can impact battery life a little bit. I had no problem with life longevity. My gaming sessions certainly don't exceed 10 hours. I don't even have a problem with Astro's charging system. With the A50, you don't have a fancy charging method like the Triton Warhead's battery swap or the Razer Chimera's charging through the headband. You get a 3-foot USB cable, one that you can leave plugged into the A50 receiver. When it's time to charge, plug the cable into the headset and put it on the stand. Or you can even play when it's charging if you're sitting close enough to the receiver, or if you buy a longer USB cord. It works for me. I have no problem with it. The problem I do have with the A50 is the battery life indicator. The A50 has a special beep to tell you when the battery starts dying. Well, that's good, right? Every headset should have that. But the problem is that when you get that indicator, you literally have about 5 minutes or less to figure out a way to get power to your headset. It's really a problem when I get the warning and it doesn't have enough life to last me through the rest of my Halo match. I think that there should be an approximate 30-minute warning for the battery life, or at least 15 minutes. As a result, every time I'm done with the A50, I plug it into charge until the next time I use it so I don't have to scramble around to get the charging cord mid-match. I really think that it needs to be addressed in a firmware update, and after talking to Astro about it, I know that they agree with me and are currently looking into it. On the headset itself, you'll find the Mixam controls transplanted. Astro does this in a fairly neat way. Where the right ear cup has buttons on the part where the speaker tag would go, these two buttons are your game and chat dial. Tap the button further back to get more voice, tap the one in the front for more game. It's a neat idea, but in practice, it comes with its problems. One being that you have to remember which way does what. If you can get past that, sometimes I feel like the actual changes from hitting the button is wonky. Sometimes it registers the action, sometimes it doesn't. The buttons do have a definite haptic click, but the digital response you hear doesn't happen every time. I might have liked seeing something like the Sennheiser PC360's rotating dial on the A50 ear cup to change the game and voice balance, as with the current system, I don't feel like I'm getting as much of a fine-tuned result as I do with the regular Astro mix amp. There are 3 more buttons located on the A50. The volume dial, which is very easy to access and remember where it is, it's very well done there. You then have the power button nestled away up top, and in the middle you have the EQ preset switch. The power button is fine, you only need it when you're done anyway, so most of the time I'm looking at it when hitting it. The EQ button is easily reached when the headset is on, but it's difficult to know what preset you're switched to. It's a small switch, so a small difference in force can mean the difference between going from preset 1 to 2 to preset 1 to 3. But again, it's one of those things that you don't really need to change too much mid-game, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. I'll get more into the EQ in the sound portion of the review though. On the left side of the headset you have 3 items: the microphone, the charging jack, and the chat cable jack. First off, with the microphone, you have the same design as the A40's microphone. But if you haven't noticed yet, the extra features of the A50 are not without some losses. With the A50, you're limited to the microphone being on the left side and the tap controller being on the right side. Not a big deal for most, but for those like me who prefer the mic to be on the right side, this is a change. The A50 just sort of slips in with the rest of the competition, as the A40 is really the only headset out there that allows the mic switching. Secondly, the mini USB charging jack is unnoticeable, but easy to connect when you need to. But finally, the chat cable jack. Yes, the A50 isn't completely wireless. In order to get voice support on the Xbox 360, you must connect the A50s to your Xbox 360 controller with the included cable. For the Xbox One, you need to do this along with the chat cable adapter. Moving on to sound, the A50 not only takes physical design cues from the Astro A40, but it takes its audio signature as well. If you use the A40s, you feel so at home with the A50s. It's like nothing's changed, but all of a sudden you can run around your room, fix yourself something to eat, or go poop with your headset on. It's great. If you haven't seen my review on the Astro A40, with the A50 you have a fairly balanced sound, favoring the low end of the spectrum. You get a nice amount of bass thrown in there to give it a very warm sound, like you fired up your grandfather's old hi-fi speakers. It's a creamy kind of sound without the highs getting too veiled. But if you're one of those gamers who needs the highs to pop, Astro has you covered with their EQ switch. Yes, we're back to that. So like I said earlier, you have 3 presets, a media, core, and pro mode. Core is what I like to stay at the most. It's just the flat EQ, the natural sound signature of the A50's drivers. To put it simply for the other modes, it's basically a bass and treble boost. Now Astro has said that they're in the works for an EQ program like Turtle Beach, where you can save profiles of different sound signatures, change the noise gates, etc., etc. However, it's been so long since we were told to expect this that I've considered it vaporware for some time. I've talked to Astro about this, and they haven't forgot about it, and they still plan on giving it its very long overdue release sometime soon. So in short, right now you have 2 additional tweaks you can throw at the A50 sound if you're not happy with the stock sound. However, I've been a fan of this sound signature since Astro had thrown it in the A40 back in 2011. This is the sound that Astro should have always had. If the A40 sounded like this when they first came out in 2007, I would have been all over it. Unfortunately, I had to wait until 2011 for them to perfect the sound, but thankfully they had a smooth sail transition to the A50 sound. It works great for both gaming and music. In some instances in gaming, I turn up the treble boost to really get the footsteps and gunfire to pop, but in most situations, the core preset allowed me to get the job done to frag some people. Onto the wireless aspect of this. Using ClearNet wireless audio, you can really get some great reception and fidelity out of the A50s. I was doing really great with them until I upgraded my router actually. I upgraded to a D-Link dual-band AC router, and since I've had it, I've had the occasional interference with my wireless headsets when I'm in proximity to the router, and people are downloading or streaming while I'm playing. So it happens really rarely, and it happens to all of my wireless headsets, so it's something to keep in mind if you're playing near one of these kinds of up-to-date routers. But all in all, I think that the A50 is a great product put out by Astro. It's really sort of a culmination of all the lessons they've learned with previous products over the years. It isn't without its faults though. I think they definitely need to throw in a firmware update to give more of a warning on battery life, so we can plug the headsets in to charge during a game break rather than scramble mid-game. I would also like to see the EQ program we've heard about, but I'm okay using what I've got for now. And since it's still in the works, I'm hoping that this extra time has been spent making it kick ass. Now there is the question of should you be buying this today? It is sort of a weird spot for the A50 to be in market-wise. It's a competitive design headset that can't be used at competitions. I can see some scenarios where the A50 would be a welcome addition to a player's gaming setup. The headset's most useful in a living room setup, where you might have wires trekking all over the place. That being said, I feel like casual gamers are more likely to play in this kind of setup than a competitive gamer, so those casuals might be more keen on a headset from Turtle Beach since they throw in so many features that it has a little something for everybody. For me personally, I have a few setups in my house, and as far as my desk setup goes, where I have my gaming monitor 2 feet in front of me, I'm going to grab my A40s and wired mix amp. But for my big screen TV sitting 7 or so feet away from my couch, I'm going to rock the A50s. If that's the kind of setup you're working with, and you're a serious gamer looking to emulate the competitive setup that MLG pros use with a great quality, well-built headset, the A50 fits the bill, so check it out at astrogaming.com. So that'll do it for my video review of the Astro A50 wireless gaming headset. As always, if you enjoyed my review, show me some internet love down below. Once again, this is Steggy, and until my next video, I will catch you guys later.